Okay, so you can hear me now? Okay, I have no clue whether somebody is there, but I try it now. Welcome everybody. Welcome to this lecture or this presentation about the topic regarding management and leadership in projects. The question overall is, should a project manager be a project leader? When we tried to organize this webinar here, I had some chats with Svetlana and Benjamin, and I was very much surprised that at that time of the week, so at Friday evening, 6 o'clock, I think it's almost the same time in Moscow, you are still here and want to listen and learn something about management and leadership. In my country, in my area of influence, direct influence in Switzerland, I would never get anybody anymore at that time. They're all on vacation already. So thank you for being here. I hope I can show you something. I also would like to say sorry that I cannot be physically present in your country. I think it is wise to do it now once with a webinar. Honestly, it's the first time for me to do it like that, so please apologize if there's some mistakes like the beginning where the technology didn't work yet. So a few words about myself, if you allow. I'm working in the project field as project manager and the other functions already for more than 30 years. You would never guess that when you see my picture, but the reality looks a bit different. My passion is really about realizing, leading complex change programs. I had the opportunity to harmonize, for example, with the Swiss Air Navigation Service provided technical systems for traffic control over Europe, over Switzerland. And at the moment, I'm really in charge of rolling stock acquisition at Swiss Railways. It's a portfolio about 5 billion train acquisitions where we have a lot of challenges to bring these vehicles into operations. As my hobby, I'm acting also as a vice president of IPMA, International Project Management Association, and I'm there responsible for products and services. Also, and that's a really big pleasure for me, I'm also that's a key account manager membership, so I'm responsible from the executive board level as vice president also for Russia. That's a country which I like very much, for Sovnet, our member association here in Russia. I also used to be the lead editor and project manager of the ICB4, you may have heard about. So if you like to get in touch with me, I welcome that, no problem. Just give me a ring, a call, or an email. Just a few words about IPMA. The International Project Management Association is really one of the oldest associations. We are the first PM association worldwide, founded in 1965, where our name was at that time Internet, so we were connected as international network, but we have had to give up this name in the 80s to obviously reasons. We couldn't protect that anymore. Our member association, I mentioned that already previously, in Russia is Sovnet. That is IPMA Russia, in fact. One thing seems important to me from the beginning of the history of IPMA. We were focusing not on knowledge, but on competences. We always stated, and we fight for that, knowledge. Knowledge is excellent, it's good, but it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient if you know what you should do. Much more important is what you do, what you act, what you drive, what you deliver. IPMA as such, we have a lot of products and services, a few words on that. Of course, events, world congresses, research conferences, our big flagships. But we recently also started with a lot of special interest group. We have realized that project management overall is not so fascinating anymore. We need to have answers, sector-specific, subject-specifics, and we have started with topics like smart cities, smart rural, artificial intelligence, or mega projects. There we have working groups on papers, we have events and other things. We have standards, we provide standards about competence standards, of course, for individuals, for project manager and other persons working in the field of project management. For teams, the so-called project excellence baseline, what does it need in terms of competences to excel in a project? And we have standards also for organization, for so-called organizational competence baseline. We provide a lot of information, blogs, social media stuff, and others. And finally, but last but not least, because that's also important for Russia, we provide awards, global awards, where we celebrate and really honor the best projects worldwide. We regularly have also applicants from Russia in the competition. But let me go into the subject of leadership and management. Discussion with Benjamin before we started this webinar. He asked me a couple of questions. Are project managers really different from project leaders? What constitutes this difference? What role is more impactful and hence more powerful? What can I do to make me a better manager or a better leader? Can I be both at the same time? A few questions, and that was the starting point where I wanted to start my webinar, my presentation. To start with, I think we should first a bit look at what really is the difference between leadership and management. In an article I presented about 5 years ago, I had used this model of distinction. Of course, there is not just black and white, but in general, I think this is quite useful to distinguish between management and leadership. Let's start with management. Management is based on policies and procedures, clear rules, clear goals, clear policies. You base on counting value. You add values when you are driven to benefits. Power and control. You, as a project manager or other functions, you exert power to make things happen. You exert control into a project. Traditionally, managers have subordinates. You have a clear line function. There's a boss, there's subordinates, maybe project manager, part project managers, and other things, and task responsible. So it's a clear boss subordinates connection. You manage the work. You focus on work. It's work focused. It's rather an authoritarian style. So it's clear that, for example, what we see as very regularly in Japan, where the boss in the morning says good morning and distinguishes orders, authoritarian style. Rather risk averse. You try to avoid risks. You look for stability. You appeal to the head. You are rather reactive. You plan details. A manager usually have detailed plans. I just recently learned about a project with 50,000 tasks in a plan. Typical management style. You maintain status quo. You provide direction. That is on one side management style. When I go now into what is a leadership kind of a style, it's a bit different. A leader has primarily visions and strategy. A leader focuses much more on creating value than on counting value. A leader inspires, influences, and not gives orders. A leader usually has followers, not subordinates, people who want to follow the leader and don't need to follow. You empower people, you lead people, you guide them, you coach them, you mentor them, but you don't give them orders. Your rather charismatical style, if you look at typical leaders, they are very charismatic. They're risk seekers. Don't forget that risk is not just a problem. A risk is also a challenge and the opportunity to do something. Leaders usually look for calculated risks. They appeal to the heart, not to the work. They're proactive. They set and give directions. They raise expectations. They challenge the people. And they ask instead of giving direction. Courage is something a leader has. Integrity, strategic planning. A leader usually has a roadmap, but not a detailed plan anymore. A leader focuses, provides tough decisions, also when it hurts. Always is a good example. Deliver results. No excuse. A leader has no excuse. He just learns. A leader makes a lot of mistakes, but he doesn't need to excuse. He learns. You can now compare a bit the styles and compare vision against policies, creating value against counting value. You try to influence people instead of power and control. You lead people and not manage work. Risk seekers against risk adverse. But of course, I must admit, there is not green and red only. There is something in between, and I think the right balance will then also be the challenge for the future. Let me give a picture of what I mean with managing and leading. You can drive a car easily by looking into the mirror, looking backwards. That is usually management. You base on experience, you base on reality, you base on data, you base on control. You look backwards. That is possible to drive forward, even looking backwards. There are two main conditions to do so. There must be a relatively straight road ahead, so a motorway, something like that, and you drive relatively slow. Then you can drive forward by looking backwards, by pure management. The future looks a bit different. If you have a road like this one, with a lot of curves, tunnels, narrow position, things like that, looking backwards, pure management will not be sufficient anymore. You can hardly drive forward anymore on such a road. The future, and we are already in it, I would not say that's something in 10 or 20 years, but we are already there, is much more, and we call that a VUCA world. Maybe you have heard that term already. So already the present and especially the future is much more volatile. Think of situations like what happens in the US with China, with Brexit and other things. Nobody would have guessed that about 5 years ago. Uncertainty. Changes will happen much faster, much more rigorous. So the planning for infrastructure projects, for example, will be much more challenging for the future. To build an infrastructure part for 40 years, you have no clue what happens in the next 5 to 10 years. Complexity, dependencies of the whole thing. The world gets much more dense. Think about the megacities with 20 million inhabitants. So the complexity of the questions are increasing. Regulations take place. All these kind of things makes work much more complex. And a big ambiguity, of course. Think just on mobile phone, what you use today, and it was, by the way, invented about 15 years ago to make a call while driving. That was the primary goal of a mobile phone, to be able to make a call while driving on a car. Today, it's not even allowed anymore, and you do complete different things on your mobile phone. So the future will be much more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. which requires to give much more power down to line persons, to task managers, and you cannot drive anymore like in the past. So leadership will be much more important for the future to challenge this future. Let me take another picture. You may have seen that already. It's a Stacey diagram, which shows on one axis how to handle something, and on the other one, the uncertainty. From bottom left, where everything is clear, where everything is given, where everything is quite simple, to the top right corner, where we have really chaotic positions. Nobody knows anymore what happens. There's something in between, and projects usually are exactly in that field, in between, in the field of complicated to complex areas. And what happens today is the projects are getting closer to the right end than to the left end. Projects are getting more complex as the world is doing. And now when you compare what skills or what competencies are required to manage that, to manage a quite easy, direct, simple, but I don't want to be disrespectful, easy process, repetitive things, you need strong management skills. But the more complex, the more chaotic the work is, the more uncertain it is, you need much more leadership skills. So there's nothing like right and wrong. There's nothing like either or. You have to decide where you are, what your skills are, and what the challenges of your projects will be. So there's no right and wrong. Coming back to one of the questions of Vienna, I mean, there is not just leadership or just management. Both are important. We have to adapt also in a project, not just only on a project, but also in details in the project, and decide which one is more appropriate, depending on people, depending on the job, depending on the results. So it's really highly dependent also on cultures. Might be a completely different story in Russia than in Switzerland. It's a completely different story in terms of context. So it is an infrastructure project or a change program or an IT program. And the challenge is such, where is really the power? But one thing I think is really something we can say, and this is given and shown evidence also in research, the leadership skills, moving from manager to leaders, that it will be more in demand in the future. And additionally to what I've said, this VUCA world, we have two other things. One other thing which is coming, or which we see is coming, is the element of artificial intelligence. We will have software programs in the future which helps us in planning, in managing, in control. Traditional management skills, management capabilities. So the demand for leadership skills will increase. The demand for management, the pure management skills, will rather decrease. You may have heard about this quote here of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work and give orders. That's classical management. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. So let them dream of the endless sea. Typical black and white leadership. But again, just let them dream of the sea doesn't help. At the end, you need some wood, nails, ropes. You need some workers. You need some deadlines, deliverables. You have to agree to what kind of boat you're going to plan and all these kind of things. So yes, leadership will become more important, but management is still something needed. Give me a few words on how to improve the skills. Let me start first with management skills. How can you, if you think that you have a potential to develop there, improve management, typical management skills. First of all, you have to know where you are. What are your skill set? What are your competencies? So take some tests, make some assessments. Doesn't mean you have to invest a lot of money. Some tests are available on the internet. Try to do that. Try to be realistic. Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? That you really can build up that and take goals, set intentions, and document your goals. Typical management things, document this. Organize yourself. Start every month or every quarter or every day, you like it. Outline the needed, work on areas where you are disorganized, make it more happen. Strategize-wise, you can improve. Learn other methods, other tools, other techniques. Take courses, there you learn knowledge, applied knowledge, you have cases and things like that, so take courses. Read management books. There are a lot of good books out there, tons of books, read them. There's always something good in it. There's something you cannot use, but there's always something good in it. Practice, take on more and more diverse projects. Practice, and that's my advice for everybody, at least for a limited time, take over responsibility for a line management function. You also have, as a project manager, know how the management, the line management works. Helps a lot to improve management skills. Now, leadership skills. How can you improve leadership skills? First of all, and I think that is really something important, you have to get inspired. If you don't do what you really like, what your heart beats for, it's difficult to become a leader. If you go in the morning to the job and go home because the day is over, it's getting difficult. So you need to have your inspiration. You have to be identified by the bridge you're building, by the software component you're doing, by the process you're improving, whatever it is. So you are the core of leadership, you and your personality. So get inspired and change it if you can and do what you really like. Think of the rest of the team, of the others. Care about the people. They're people. They're not just resources. Make them know you count on them and count on them. Challenge them, of course, but care about people. Do you know, by the way, about the personal situation at home for everybody? Just a question mark. Push away the negative. There are some people which are really negative also in a project, which interfere with everything and always see just the negative part. You know, a glass is always half full and half empty. Focus on people which see the glass half full and not focusing on people which see always the glass half empty. Also recruit positive people. Young people usually are more positive to what they can achieve if you give them the freedom to do that. Appeal to values. Not just let them know you have to take this piece of wood, coming back to the example of before, take this piece of wood and just nail something. No, appeal for the values, what that boat is meant for. Transport people over the sea, you can dream of the sea, this kind of things. Celebrate achievements, something project manager very often simply forget. We have a lot to do, we have a lot of problems to solve, but celebrate the achievements. Also small things. Sometimes offering a coffee because something is achieved in the morning is already enough. It doesn't take a lot of money. It takes some time and attention. So if you want them to know that you care about the people, celebrate and reward the team. What I very often see, let the team be great, not yourself. But I often see that the project manager says, I have achieved that with my team. This is not really rewarding your team. The team has achieved it. You just orchestrated it, the team, and that's okay. Trust people, delegate people, get the team involved, also in terms of decision. Why should they not offer their opinion? Finally, you can still make the decision, but let them be involved, be transparent. The worst thing for a team is not to be transparent. If you have an agenda B, follow other targets than what you're saying, that is very, very difficult. So be transparent. Report and suggest solutions, but never ever finger point. It was not A or B was made the error. You and the team have made an error, not somebody in person. Challenge other, demand. A point which is quite easy to reflect on yourself, ask instead of direct. Make just one day, if you want to improve your leadership skills, just one day a statistic. Just make a cross when you have asked somebody, make on another side of the paper a cross when you have directed or given order to somebody. Just as a starting point. Then you can improve, ask more, ask them what their opinion is, what they would do. Last but not least, and the list is not over, of course, this is just some ideas from my side, finish what you start. You have to be reliable also towards the team. You have to finish. What you are saying has to become true. Otherwise, it's very difficult for them to follow you. And remember, a leader has followers, not subordinates anymore. So this is a little bit about the ideas of management and leadership. Of course, both is important. You have to control, you have to manage something. But the leadership skills, when I look into the future, become much more important than management skills because of the uncertainty of our future and because of technology replacing some of the management functions. Let me just have a few minutes on one element, one product IPMA is providing. It's about our next IPMA or over next IPMA World Congress, the 32nd World Congress. The point why I add this one is not just because I want to make some ad on it. The thing is, we are really focusing on the 32nd World Congress about digital transformation. We are exactly talking about and discussing about issues like what is the influence of our digital transformation on project management? Am I right with my words and saying some of the management function will be replaced by technology? I don't know. I'm looking forward to that World Congress. IPMA provides World Congresses already since 1967. And it will be the 32nd in 2020, September 2020. You may guess where it is? No, it's not in Moscow. It will take place in St. Petersburg. For September 2020, IPMA will organize together with Sovnet the 32nd World Congress in St. Petersburg. We will be there. We expect some 900 participants. We will organize at least 5 streams on specific topics. We focus on very, very different industries, from services to heavy industry, from whatever it is, IT to banking to energy. We will combine there also practitioners with academics. We really try to mix up so that everybody can take something. It's also a good platform for students to learn more about project management and the world we are in. We expect more participants from more than 70 countries. That is important because we want not just to have a local event, we want also to provide with insights from other countries. This is reflected then also by the co-organization. So we at IPMA, we organize that together with Sovnet at the Russian member association, which at the very same time celebrates the 30th anniversary. So we have a lot to present, a lot to discuss, a lot to challenge, but also a lot to celebrate. IPMA together with Sovnet, we will do that. That was also the reason why we went to St. Petersburg. So that's a connecting city. It is also a very, very beautiful city. a connecting city between Europe and Russia. We are supported, and it is very important, by the Ministry of Digital Development, Telecommunication and Mass Media of the Russian Federation, and we are supported by the Analytical Center under the government of the Russian Federation, as well as by local partners. We are at the moment in discussion also with St. Petersburg, and industry partners here are mentioned, just a few of them. We are still working on that. We have a good year to come to organize it. We affect also the international part by speakers. We will have a lot of good speakers, interesting speakers from all around the world. Here's just 3 examples from Germany, from Japan, and from China. But we will also have powerful, good speakers from Russia, so that we can really provide an interesting mix between local and international speakers and presenters. So that's it for a moment. I hope we can see you all, and I really can see you there, not just hear you. That's what I wanted to say you. I hope you see you all in the 32nd World Congress, IPMA World Congress, on the 22nd to 24th of September 2020 in beautiful St. Petersburg. We will celebrate in a Holiday Inn and have some other events around. So I hope I can see you there. See you all. Now I'm totally open for questions. Let me see whether I see something. Hopefully I get the questions in English. Russian is a bit difficult for me. Sorry for that. There was a question or a remark: in small company, manager have to care about people and get them involved, I think. It's a question about, or if I interpret the remark like that, is there a difference between small companies and large companies, multinational big ones? I would follow the idea here of the person who has put that here. I think a small company has to look much more on people, so needs more leadership skills than a big multinational organization. I think that is true. And the reason for that is a large one can just make more, is more stable. A small company without leaders will disappear quite quickly. So the boss, the traditional boss, has very often also leadership skills. You may like it or not, but they are leaders. You might like them or not, so you will work there or not. But I think, yes, smaller companies will disappear faster than large ones if they don't focus on people. Yep. For manager, try to be a leader is a bad way. For manager, try to be a leader is a bad way. No. Why should that be a bad way? I think, as I mentioned before, I don't see a guy is only manager and another guy is only leader. But also a manager can develop a little bit into leadership skills. Maybe he will never be a chief, the Apple boss or something like that, a great lead or something like that. But he can develop leadership skills, and in my opinion, that's a way also to be more open, attract more people, better people. So no, why should a manager not try to be more leader? That doesn't mean he has, as I mentioned before, also a leader needs some management tools, needs some management function, needs some control. But tendency is really also to be more leader. And why not try out? Be a bit more human, trust your people, delegate more. Next, the top 3 qualities that a digital area leader. Good question. Maybe we can discuss that questions directly at the World Congress next year. for me, in the digital area, I think what is important for a leader, that's a bit the road. In a digital area, you don't have this clear, straight motorways anymore. So you have to be much more agile, much more reactive, active, even drive your way. So visionary is one which I think is really important. Focusing on people. You may be surprised that I say focus on people. You may say, okay, in digital area you can do business without people. I would say that's not the case. We will see other jobs, other opportunities. We need more qualified people in the digital area. We may lose less qualified people, but to attract more qualified people also needs leadership styles. But I think that's a good question, and if you allow me, we can take that to the World Congress and put it on a subject there and really discuss that in detail. What does that mean in terms of competencies, three competencies for a leader in the digital area? A good question. Then another question, could you please name any big leaders in healthcare worldwide? Oh, that's a good question. No, I can't. I don't know this industry. I have to go back to history to find some of them. I would probably name somebody like Pestalozzi or Henri Dunant, the founder of the Red Cross, which are maybe it's healthcare or some around that. But I don't know the healthcare industry so well. I'm sorry. Okay, I try to take both positions. Of course, you can even play with it. There are situations where the biggest leader has to say, no, we go left or right. No problem with that. But yes, be more wide in applications of these different styles. Don't just use one. Try out others. Learn from that. Maybe you fail. Okay, then come back. Do it differently next time. From your slide, it seems that the more complex project, the more the project is complex, the more a project manager should be a leader. Yes, I think that's true. That's also in terms of complexity. When you come from a project to a program with the whole stakeholder management area there, you need more a visionary leadership position. I would say. That's more or less the summarization of what I've said. Yes, I think the more complex the project is and undertaking is, the more a project manager needs leadership skills. The less he can control directly. You can also take it the other way around. You cannot control anymore in detail everything in a complex environment. Morning, will you please recommend some useful books in English about leadership? Okay, good questions. I can provide you this by writing. I don't have them in my head. I'm actually still in the office at home. I have a lot of this kind of books. I read a lot of books. I can do that, but please drop me an email. I can provide you this information. Could you give an example of combining leadership and management in one person? Okay. I would simply say, look into the mirror. You do some elements of a leader. You do some elements of a manager. Be more aware of what you are doing now. When you coach one of your employees, that's leadership style. If you give them clear orders, what he has to do till the evening, it's clear management style. So, as I mentioned, I think there's nobody only manager and only leader. So you have always the whole thing in it. Harvard Business Review could be one, yes. but I can name you more, yeah. Could a project manager pass leadership? I don't understand this question, sorry. Are there situations where this is necessary? Sorry, I don't get the question. Could a project manager pass leadership? Sorry, I don't understand the question. As I mentioned, a really experienced project manager, project leaders has a lot of variations and has to adapt them to the specific situation, to the project. Maybe you're on a road construction project, you have to be much more project manager, manager, and another project, complex one, you have to be more leader, depends on also on the situation. It is not just black and white. Learn to play the piano on different elements and apply to the specific situation where we are in. Sometimes you have to be really leader. Sometimes you have to be very strict and direct project manager. I just remember situations. I usually try to be more leader. But in one project, I remember we had a safety issue with people. And I gave clear instruction, get away here, get out here, no questions, restart, that's not the way I want to work. So it can be both at the same time, it can be both in different situations, yeah. Yeah, as I mentioned, have you any question, please write them here. How would I recognize a leader? That's a good question. For me, a leader is really somebody who gives me freedom, clear boundaries, has clear mandate, what he expects, but gives me freedom how I will do that. A leader is somebody I really like to work with him. I like to work for him or her. It can also be a lady, of course. It's somebody I do not need to work there. You look up, you say, okay, I want to be one day as this guy or this girl is. That is for me a leader. Somebody I really say, okay, no, I have to work on me, on my personality, on my style, on my competencies, but I want to be one day like he or like she is. That's a leader for me. So I can look upwards and say, okay, yeah, I want to follow this person. I would ask this person, do you have a job for me? I want to work for you. This is a great leader for me. Okay. I think I could answer most of the questions. Still something open? So not to be afraid of to be close. Why should you be afraid to be close? I mean, I read close to a person. Why should you be afraid to be close to a person? Why should that be a problem? Of course, there is some limits. When money, for example, fraud and things like that is involved. But be human to others. What is the problem with that? You don't need to be close friends to your staff. Not at all. Just be humans. Be leaders. Okay? Then last word. Thank you very much for making me, give me the opportunity to talk to you. Hope there's something in it what you can take with you. And looking forward for next time when I'm really physically be in Moscow, or next couple of times I'll be in St. Petersburg because of the World Congress 2020. Hope to see you all there. Thank you very, very much.
Martin, thank you very much to be with us. It's a great honor for us to have you as a speaker. Thank you for sharing us to your experience and your philosophy. I think it was very interesting and very useful. Thank you, and thank all our participants. And good night, everybody.
Good night and have a nice weekend.
Martin.
Thank you very much.
Good luck and thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Коллеги, забыла напомнить, что все материалы и записи по итогам недели мы выложим в ближайшее время на сайте. Все вам обязательно направим, всю информацию на почту. Пожалуйста, следите за нашими рассылками. И еще разочек напомню, что у нас специальное предложение на программу управления проектами. Автор и ведущий наш эксперт, который первым выступал, открывал нашу неделю, это Григорий Львович Ципис. Для вас специальное предложение – это 20% скидки на обучение. Программа стартует в октябре. Вера, спасибо вам большое. Мы тоже очень рады, что Мартин согласился выступить у нас. Вам спасибо большое за участие. Это была замечательная неделя. Надеюсь, вам тоже понравилось. Будем ждать ваших отзывов. И я думаю, что мы направим даже какую-нибудь анкету. Пожалуйста, уделите несколько минут, заполните ее. И я надеюсь, что подобные мероприятия мы будем проводить регулярно. Если у вас есть какие-то темы, которые для вас актуальны, и хотелось бы подробнее их раскрыть, пишите мне, мой адрес вы видите на слайде. Мы всегда открыты для любых предложений. Спасибо, что были с нами. Всем хорошего пятничного вечера и выходных.